really hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, like, and click the bell to be notified of more fantastic music content just like this.
Hello and welcome to the Need to Know Music Show with me, Ronan McManus, here on Switchbox TV. And today I'm joined by a Scouse folk singer-songwriter who's risen to become the voice of the people in Liverpool. He's shot to fame with his association with Liverpool Football Club and playing to 50,000 Reds fans in Madrid. He released his debut album, We Get By, earlier this year, which hit #1 in the official folk album chart. He joins us now from Cloud9. Jamie Webster, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Ronan. How are you, mate? Thanks for having me on.
No, all good, man, all good. I mean, cards on the table. I'm an Everton fan, but I got the wrong side of the city from the family because we're all Scousers in the family. So I've got two brothers Reds, two brothers Blues, and one of them doesn't give a shit about football. So that's kind of we're a proper Scouse family,
Yeah,
but we're all actually Birkenhead.
Oh, nice even split.
We're down from Birkenhead, so all the families across Merseyside. So we're all Tranmere Rovers fans, really, but you know,
yeah. No, some of the best mates.
My big brother.
Sorry, mate. We keep listening to each other here, don't we?
Sorry. Yeah, so my big brother's Elvis Costello, who's done lots of stuff for Liverpool in the past. So he did the "Turning the Town Red" song for Liverpool. He's obviously a big Red. We got the bit of.
Did you just say your older brother's Elvis Costello?
Yeah.
Wow, did not know that.
Yeah,
so he's done a lot for the city, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he obviously picked the right side in terms of success in Europe.
As did I suppose. But no,
You did.
Funny story, actually. I've done, and it's not funny. It's just like coincidental. I've done a gig that was raising awareness for mental health, and Elvis provided the back line for that gig through a few friends of mine through the Anfield rap. So yeah, tell him thank you very much for that if you get to speak to him.
I will do. I'm sure he will have. Sure he will have seen your videos and everything. I think you seem to have hit the hearts of all the Liverpool fans, and rightly so. I mean, let's talk about this year. How's sort of like, I know it's been a bit of a tough year in Liverpool in terms of lockdown and all that kind of stuff. You seem to get the sort of the worst end of it. But how's it sort of been for you? It seems that you released a single end of last year, and then it seems like everything was set for this year for you. So I know you've still released a lot of music, but what plans were kind of cancelled? What I mean, it seems to have, I know it's been a bad time for a lot of people, but you seem especially to have been kind of working towards something that was going to be this year. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this summer was going to be the summer of a lifetime, really. It was supposed to be, because Liverpool had the league triumph, and obviously the debut album was set to be, was released. That's this summer period. I was supposed to be all over the world playing like league title winning parties for Liverpool fans. So we had the Lowry Ballroom in New York booked, we had the South Africa booked, New Zealand, Australia, Chennai, Mauritius, dozens of events in Ireland, dozens of events across Europe, Norway, London gigs. I was literally Tokyo as well. That's another one. It was just
wow.
The arse well and truly fell out of all that, like when COVID came into fruition. But also with my own stuff as well. Obviously, I was supposed to tour the album in September. That's been pushed back to March now. We're hoping that still goes ahead. But the silver lining of it all was that because the football stopped, I got a chance to put me 100% time and effort into promoting the album, which I wouldn't have been able to do whilst I was playing Liverpool FC supporters club gigs in India, Chennai. So I wouldn't have been able to be hands-on on the album campaign.
Yeah.
And I think in some way that was a blessing in disguise, because it really got me to promote myself as, a musician, as a singer-songwriter, not just as a Liverpool sort of chant leader, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've done a few of those things for Celtic. My old band was a London Irish band with lots of connections to Celtic. So we've done the sort of the away trips to Barcelona and all this sort of the European things, and they're fantastic things to do. but you know, you still want to be promoting your own thing, and you know, you're a genuine bona fide singer-songwriter in your own right. And as great an experience as that would have been, and it would have been a year of a lifetime traveling around the world doing all that, you'd have put back your plans to promote your own stuff by a year. And you know, so there's, I mean, as you say, the silver lining is a silver lining on a rather big cloud, but you got to try and take it where you can get it.
Yeah, you've just got to look for those silver linings in any moment, haven't you? Really, you know, if your back's up against the wall, you've got to try and look for a positive outlook. Otherwise, you know, you're not going to get very far, I don't think.
Absolutely. But so you were, so how long ago you kind of shot? This was 2018 when the kind of everything kicked off with Liverpool, wasn't it? Before that, what were you kind of doing? Just gigging around the city and pubs and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I was an electrician since I was 16. Left school and I got my apprenticeship as an electrician. And basically, I just used to work all the time, basically, and you know, play these pub gigs over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Play Christians, parties, birthdays. I was always doing the Liverpool gigs, but obviously on a much smaller scale. It was a more cult thing back then, you know, where it was just like more of a local sort of following, and you know, I hadn't had too much publicity outside of Liverpool, and like, you know, but that all changed once the club started to get involved, and you know, the club started to be a lot more successful. But yeah, for me, it was just like your open mic nights, you know, your 2 45-minute slots on a Friday night, 2 45s on a Saturday, and then maybe a party Christian on a Sunday, and obviously go the match around that. You know what I mean? That was my life really, and trying to write songs in the meantime, just for the fun of it.
Did you ever head down to the Monday night in the Cavern with Ian Prowse? Did you ever do that Monday night one?
Yeah, I've seen. I mean, I work closely with people who work with Prowsey. The lads at Boss Night have had Prowsey involved for years and years and years. I know you'll probably know John Johnson, the lad who does the photography. He always goes and does bits for Prowsey. But yeah, I did do a few of the early ones in the Cavern. I love Ian Prowse. I love his show, especially when he has the like the cello player with him and stuff like that, or the violinist. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's been on this show. He's a mate kind of thing. I've been up to do a few of those Cavern nights, and there's such a strong scene in Liverpool. I mean, it really is. It's such a obviously music's coming out of the walls of the city. So at what age were you getting out there and playing live?
Well, I was in bands from 15, 16. Do you know what I mean? So we were doing it. I think my first gig was when I was about 15. Just knocking around. Played sort of like not the Cavern Club. We played the Cabin Club. Do you ever remember that at the top?
Right.
That was my first. That was my first gig in there. We weren't even old enough to be in there, but we knew a few of the lads who ran the doors and stuff, and they let us go on. We done that. We used to do like glasswork events, so just around the Baltic area, around the music, you know, the music venue, ship and forecast, things like that. That was as early as I played it then, and then I swerved the band stuff off to do the acoustic sort of scene on the, you know, playing covers and stuff like that.
Yeah. And what sort of age were you writing your own stuff?
Well, I'd probably say from 13, 14, as soon as I was...
stuff then?
Yeah, because I'd say when we were in a band, we were 15, 16 in a band, and we probably had 15, 16 songs, you know, from when we started to when we finished. Yeah. That they come in and out of the repertoire. Not a lot, but so I was writing songs before that to give me the confidence then to do it in a band. So I think once I started listening to Bob Dylan, which must have been around 14, 15, it started opening my mind to writing songs and, you know, sort of putting your personal feelings down onto a piece of paper and into a song.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, I mean, with Liverpool, there's a kind of a very distinct political edge to a lot of music that comes out of Liverpool. And there's obviously the city is a certain, you know, it's a left-wing city, and there's the history with the Conservative Party and all that kind of stuff. Was that was just natural stuff you were writing about? It was just kind of natural to you?
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to Change off the album, I think I wrote that when I was about 18, 19. So Common People, I think I wrote that when I was about 17, 18 again, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are things that it's a mindset that you gain growing up. It's not something that I was trying to force or something that like I was pretending to be. It was just, you know, growing up in Liverpool, you know, not that I've ever really went without, because my mum and dad have always worked really hard to give me the advantages that others haven't have. But, you know, there's always, you live through frustration, I suppose, as a young teen in Liverpool. You look at how, even maybe how you're dealt with by the police at a young age when you're out and about knocking around in the streets, the sort of this attitude that you're treated with then. And even just like, yeah, as a young lad in Liverpool, I think there's a lot of anger you live through. There's a lot, I think that's part of adolescence anyway, obviously, anger and frustration with, you know, authority. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
when you're at that age and you have got a problem with authority, when you start to learn things about, you know, how the Tory governments operate and how people have to suffer in order for other people to gain, that adds to that sort of teenage frustration anyway. Do you know what I mean? So there was a big fire burning in me around those ages, and I don't think it's ever went out really. You know, you just sort of learn more and more about it, and you get more passionate as well. I do, and I've got more passionate the older I've got about you know, how I think that things are and how things should be, for example.
Yeah.
And when government's concerned, you know, you learn a lot more as you grow up, and yeah, that fire's still there, I suppose. And even though the first album is a strongly political album, you know what I mean? It's strongly worded when it comes to politics and stuff. Like, the second album isn't too much different from what I'm writing at the moment, but it's probably just a little bit more. I think the music's a lot more developed, and the way that I'm doing it is probably a bit more intelligent than what it was as the raw young music that I was writing when I was 19. Do you know what I mean?
So you've been recording this year as well?
Yeah. I was only in the studio last week, recording one of the tracks, potentially the title track of the new album, actually. So we just wanted to, you know, I'm just thinking about new ways of recording, you know, maybe developing the sound. So you've got to get on that early,
Right.
really. You know, it's the only thing. While we haven't been able to gig, I've just been writing and you know, demoing, not recording properly, but demoing definitely. I'd say, with, you know, there's not a solid plan of where I'm going to record the second album or who I'm going to do it with, but I'm just exploring a lot of options at the minute, and, you know, just getting as much as I can together in this time when live music isn't a thing, because we all know once live music comes again, I'm going to be really busy, so it'll be hard to write and record. So I think now's the time to do that.
That's a great idea. Great idea. And there's this great debate as to whether it's folk or not that seems to be raging on. I mean, who is out there thinking that it isn't folk? You know what I mean? It's like, it just seems like, it seems like if it's, we had the same thing with our band. We were singing about London, the London Irish community, the people that we saw, lads coming over, working on building sites and working hard and playing hard. And a lot of the kind of more cultural societies didn't like what we were singing about, because we were singing about lads boozing and fighting and working on the sites, you know, and it was like they wanted it to be a bit more, you know, kind of literary and all to be, you know, and it was like, well, this is what we see. This is what the folk is, music of the people, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
So there's, I mean, looking down at, you know, Oasis lyrically, there's a lot of folk elements to what they were writing. Sam Fender, Prowsey, Bruce Springsteen. I mean, obviously Jerry Cinnamon. These are folk singers. I mean, what have you heard about that, and what's your retort to all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that takes it away from folk is the sound of the music. Because when people, but that's in people's heads. That doesn't actually take it away from being folk. I think, you know, what's the word? What's the word? It's not general, like, but everyday folk music that you probably pigeonhole. You'd think of someone with a trilby hat on, you know, like, and a soft acoustic guitar, maybe like a harp, or, you know, like not much percussion, not much, you know, loud guitars and synths and stuff like that. People think of folk as, you're going to Scarborough Fair, Parsley Sage, Rosemary and Thyme. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that isn't. They made me think of Simon and Garfunkel, Mrs. Robinson, me and Julio down by the schoolyard. They're the things that you'd probably put in your, they're the general picture of,
generic
standard,
is the, I think generic is the word you're looking for. Yeah.
Generic, that's the one I'm looking for. Yeah, generic picture of folk. But the way I see it is, if it tells a story, if it takes you to another place, then it's folk. Do you know what I mean? It's if it's telling a story, a real life story about real life hardships and experience and joys as well. There's no lot to be doom and gloom. Do you know what I mean? It's that is folk. It's real life. Do you know what I mean? For me, yeah, I think you're exactly right. Sam Fender, some of the stuff he's writing, like The Borders, for example.
Yeah.
If that was a soft acoustic song, that would be probably one of the greatest folk songs of all time, in my opinion. The story that tells, the emotion that it captures, the journey that it takes you on, the pictures that it paints. That's what folk music is. It paints a picture, and it takes you away from somewhere, and whatever story is being told in that song, you live it. You were instantly put in that place. It's like with Maggie's Farm with Bob Dylan. You can see that farm. Do you know what I mean? You can literally, you're stood in the squalor with the pigs, with Maggie flicking a cigarette, looking at you, scowling at you. Do you know what I mean? That you're literally there. That for me is folk. Like the fact that if it transcends you to that place and it puts you in the story, then that for me is folk. It doesn't matter whether it's got a kick drum with a massive effect on it, or it's got unbelievable guitar solos in the lyrical breaks. That doesn't. All right, it may give it more of a. It just means it's folk with a rock and roll twist to me. Do you know what I mean? It's
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, when people first ask me the question of what sort of music are you writing, what genre are you going for, I said, well, it's quite hard to put a pigeonhole on your own music. I think that's the hardest thing for any artist to do, is to say what genre. Unless it's obvious, like heavy metal or death metal, or so like heavy, but if like most singer-songwriters and alternative artists, if you were to say to them, what genre of music are you, or what genre are you going for, how would you describe your own music? It's the hardest question in the world. It's the
worst question in the world to answer, yeah.
But for me, I would say what I said in the early days of it, it's almost modern folk. It's folk music, it's folk songs with modern sounds. Do you know what I mean? That's the best way for me to describe my music. I wouldn't call it indie, wouldn't call it rock, wouldn't call it pop. Do you know what I mean? I'd probably call it modern folk. And it was, so I said it years ago when I was first writing music, and now for it to be for the album to be crowned #1 in the inaugural folk chart it was a lovely surprise, really. I did not see it coming, you know what I mean? It was like a smack in the face, but a very pleasant one.
Yeah. And and who was it? You beat Laura Marling to #1.
Laura Marling, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? She's just, it's ridiculous. I've seen people on my Facebook like covering Laura Marling, and like when you see the sponsored ads of like singer-songwriters trying to obviously trying to get more reach. It's a lot of them are like Americans covering Laura Marling. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And like this is a girl who's, even some of my really good mates really like listening to her, especially when they work and stuff like that. It really takes. She's a massive name. She's
like an institution already in the British folk world, isn't she? So that's a hell of an achievement to top her to #1. But I think it's a testament to the nerve you've hit, because it's not just down to Allez Allez Allez. It's not just down to that, because there was remember the Irish lad who had the Mo Salah song, but that didn't capture. It didn't take off the way that you've taken off. It's everything that's underneath that. That's obviously been a help. That's given you a step up and put you in people's. But you still had the material behind it to actually back it up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like it's one of them. It's one of them, innit? It's like a football. You put it into football terms. You can sign a footballer who's done well in the past in another league, in another surrounding, in another atmosphere. You can put him in the Premier League, and he can sink or swim. It's down to like what he actually does when he's doing what he's doing. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's like, I have done the football stuff, but if my album was terrible and my songs didn't connect with anyone, it wouldn't have finished in the top 10 anyway in the UK album chart.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't have got to #1 of the folk album chart, because it wouldn't have. Do you know what I mean? People, it would, after the second, third single, people would have caught on and thought, well, you know what? I think I'll just stick with his Liverpool stuff. I enjoy that more. You know, I'm not really fussed on what he's doing there. It's not really for me. It might be in the case in a lot of circumstances, but a lot of people have related to what I'm saying. And I just think that's because it's real. Do you know what I mean? It's real. It's real life. I'm not trying to paint a pretend picture of how things are or how things should be. I'm just saying it as I see them, with no blinkers on, just bang, straight up, straight front. And the way that I try and write my lyrics, I try and write my lyrics in the way that I'd say them in a conversation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I think that's the relativity. That's where it gets a lot of relativity as well. I think is because the way I try and word my lyrics, I try and word them as if you'd be having a throwaway conversation with your mate, and that is the way that like people sort of get the hooks then and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like Billy Bragg did that. I mean, it was really conversational lyrics, exactly how we'd say them, and it's definitely definitely people just relate to it. You know, I mean, a song like This Place was huge for you, isn't it? That's like been one that's been streamed God knows how many times. I mean, let's just. What was the reaction to that? How did you find that people reacting to that song?
Yeah, I mean, the reaction to that was amazing. But to be honest, it was delayed because we had all this promotion lined up around. It was supposed to be released in March, This Place, when Liverpool were due to win the league, because we had a big promo. Obviously, you see what happened when it was the sort of montage on Sky and around the world on all the channels. And we had that lined up. But obviously, because football was taken away, we couldn't then release the song and then wait 8 months for it to, do you know what I'm saying? So we had to change the plan, re-release Grand in the Gear. Something's got to give, which was a good thing. But once This Place...
I was going to mention that next year.
Yeah, well, we'll go into that now. I'll stay with This Place. But so basically, this Place was delayed because the great video spiel that we had with it. But obviously, when it came out, I knew that it'd be a fan favourite of particularly the people from Liverpool, because I think that was one of the first songs I started to write to play in my live shows, you know, around the Liverpool gigs before I'd released any music.
Yeah.
And pre-Weekend in Paradise, so I knew that like a lot of the hardcore fans had that as a favourite anyway, and they were waiting for that one to be released. So I knew that the reaction within the city would be really good. But then obviously it was like, I looked at my phone, I think like when it actually blew up, and there was like 1,000 people listening to it at one time, do you know, like at that second, and then like the streams were just shooting. I think we done like 90,000 streams in a day, 100,000 in a day. Like it was crazy. Phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And it was nice as well because Weekend in Paradise sort of took off like that. We done like 35,000 streams in a day. And then all releases from them got gradually less. And it was, while he was still doing good numbers, and it's not all about numbers, it was a little bit disheartening. And like This Place for me was the lift that I needed to like really, you know, look forward to the rest of the album coming out and look forward to, you know, just to relate back with, you know, just to have that back and forth with my followers again. You know, everyone got behind it. It was, you know, I was driving around the city and I could hear it coming out of people's cars. Do you know what I mean? It was a feeling like no other those couple of days, and I'm really, really thankful to everyone who got behind it. But yeah, I'm just couldn't have went down any better really. It's still done now. It's on its way to 1.5 million streams. I think we'll be at 2 million before halfway through next year. Do you know, it's not all about numbers, but when you see these things, it gives you self-confidence. Do you know what I mean?
It gives you an idea of that it's being received well, and you know you need to know that sort of stuff to know where to go and what to do. I mean, I can see it's one of those songs that people get it first time they hear it when you play it live. It's one of those ones that comes across instantly. Yeah,
definitely it is. I think being like that from the start, it's got a lot of hooks in it, a lot of catchy sort of. But again, it's not rocket science what I'm writing about. It's like it's everybody. It doesn't matter whether you come from Liverpool, Dublin, Manchester, Birkenhead, London. You know, anywhere you come from and wherever you go in the world, you'll always be proud of you should always be proud of what you've lived through, because it's made you to who you are today. You know what I mean? If you're a good person and you're doing well, then like this place should be a song that you should always like connect with, because it is literally just about saying, you know, like a little hats off to the things that you've gone through before, the places that you've been, you know, the parties you've been to, the songs you've sung, the films you've been to see, the matches, everything that you've been through up to this point that shaped who you are and what you're doing in life. It's just a little celebration of that song and a bit of appreciation towards it. And I know just through visiting a lot of places in the world, there's so many people who are really passionate about where they come from. And that's a song for all those people, I suppose. And yeah, it's not rocket science what I'm writing about, and it's not rocket science that people have related to it, but I didn't think it would be on that scale. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just really thankful for that.
And the live at Park Street is fantastic. I was just seeing some of the videos online of that one, and Something's Got to Give. It just comes across so well, that song.
The live at Park Street version, or of this place, or
of Something's Got to Give.
Yeah, Something's Got to Give. Sorry. Yeah. No, because we've done all the songs near enough off the album Live at Park Street, which is obviously coming out in the Live at Park Street album. But yeah, the Park Street's a great studio. It's got some amazing history. I recorded the album there, which was an unbelievable experience. The guys who I worked with on it, Chris Taylor, Rich Turvey, the track records speak for themselves. And Something's Got to Give was a song that I wrote originally around the Brexit time, but then when we released it, it just so happened that it was during the Black Lives Matter protests and all this absolute nonsense was going on within the government, and all the rubbish with Donald Trump in America. It all come to a massive head, and this song just come out right in the middle of it. And again, it was one of those songs that people instantly. The lyrics are very, very self-explanatory. You don't have to look too far into them to see what I'm talking about. Just basically a massive two fingers to Donald Trump and the Tories. But touching on some matters that are really important and that we all need to address before it gets too late, in my opinion. But the Live at Park Street, I'm so thankful that I've got like access to a studio like that that captures such a great energy when you're in a room and playing. And likewise, the band that I have playing with me are absolutely superb musicians. I can't, the repertoire, like the sort of pedigree that they have anyway, what they've been and done before they played with me is frightening for their age. We're all the same age, and for example, the drummer, he drums for the Lightning Seeds, he drums with She Drew the Gun, he plays percussion for the Coral. His uncle was Chris Sharrock, who was in Oasis, the Lars. Robbie Williams' band is his cousin James Sharrock, who's been, one of Noel Gallagher's drummers. It's Liam Gallagher's drummer. His pedigree speaks for itself. The bass player, he's a tech for the Lightning Seeds, he's a tech for the Coral. He produces a lot of music himself. He's probably the best bass player I've ever seen in my own eyes. He can play keys. He can play saxophone. He plays saxophone for the Lightning Seeds. He's tech for Paul Simon, if you can believe that. He's an actual musical machine. There is no other words for Tim. And then Danny, likewise, I went right through school with Danny on the guitar. He's Mick Head's guitarist. He's played for James Skelly. He's played for Ian Skelly. He's played for David Edgar. He's played for, I always forget his name, but it's like basically a jazz musician from over in America. He sessioned for him. These are phenomenal musicians, all at the same age as me, 26. And so to have them in the band on that Live in Park Street, they make my life just so much easier. Do you know what I mean? Playing with musicians like this. They are session musicians, but they're also, like, now that we've played together for about a year, the good thing about it was we hit it off straight away, and we're really good mates now as well. So
fantastic.
Even though we're not actually a band, the chemistry that we have, it's as if we are. And, I'm just looking forward to going on the road with them lads and playing loads of packed out venues and just capturing those emotions that hopefully be captured in the Live at Park Street.
And that's available, is it, to buy?
It's available to pre-order, yeah. It's not out yet.
Pre-order.
But,
Okay, cool.
If you get yourself onto my website, you haven't got to look far on my socials to find out all all the channels to buy that from. And yeah, it's a cracking. It's 10 songs off the album, all live. You know, literally recorded, mixed, and all done there at that moment in time in the one day in Park Street. There'll be videos of each track released slowly and surely, but it was just a nice little sort of, I suppose it's a nice stocking filler. We just wanted to do something for Christmas, and I think ideally it would have been live at the O2 Academy, but we couldn't do that gig, so it's gonna have to be this. But no, it's a really, really good piece of work. I'm really proud of it, and yeah, if you like a bit of live music, you like a bit of vinyl, and you're listening to this, get yourselves onto it and get it ordered, and yeah.
Fantastic. And so have you got some tentative plans for next year? Obviously, we don't know what's going on, but if all goes well, have you got some dates booked in for next year for live?
Yeah. I mean, we've got a socially distanced show next weekend, sort of 2 shows in a day.
Oh, cool.
That sold out in 10 seconds. I think it's 200 seats per show, and they went intensive. It's phenomenal. The levels of support I've been getting at the minute. So yeah, we've got that Saturday. Obviously, fingers crossed. The talk, I think everything's vaccine dependent at the moment in time, and we're just waiting for the green light for that tour in February and March. Be lucky for it to be able to go ahead full capacity, but there is a light that never goes out until it goes out. So I'll just wait until I either get the green or the red light on that. And if we do get the red light, we reschedule for the next available. I think the summer, hoping that we can have a really good crack at the live scene in the summer. I think we're hoping we'll be out of the storm by then, and into normality. So as soon as we get the green light, look, I'll be playing all over the place. The Liverpool shows as well, the LFC side of things, they're going to pick up again because everyone still wants that league title party that they were denied through this pandemic. Probably Everton fans were made up that they never got to see footage of that over social. But I am sorry, it is coming because I'm still, the requests, I'm still inundated with requests. So when the green lights, we booking agents, is probably a very stressed out man at the moment, waiting for all this to go ahead. But no, it's just get back out there and gig as soon as possible, and then get the second album done. Do you know what I mean? That's 2021.
2021.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Live music and a second album. That's what I want. And if it can top the folk chart again, that'd be even better. If it could get in top 10 of the charts again, it'd be even better. But I'm just so thankful to the support that I've got. While 2020 has been a bit of a blow of a year, live music concerned, I've recruited some great, support. I've got some great fans behind me now. The album's done brilliant. So I've got a great platform to shoot into 2021 off. So it hasn't been all bad. There has been some things that we'd obviously have, on the financial side of things and the live music side of things, we all could have done a lot better.
Yeah.
But, we're still, I'm still here. I'm still breathing. Still got my health. I actually got over COVID. My family is still here. My family is still alive and well. I'm so happy for that. All the people around me are good. We're all surviving. That's, for me, that's the main thing. I hope everyone else is managing to cope okay. Hopefully, like I say, we'll be out sooner rather than later. And that's the main thing for me now. Just staying well, keep writing, and hopefully, some live music.
Fantastic. Well, we got a dream gig, fantasy gig time now. You got the gigs on. You're on first. There's someone on after you, and there's someone's headlining. There could be anybody from history, from any time period, dead or alive, whatever you want. So, who would you choose for your dream gig?
I'd probably have to go with. You'd have to say the Beatles.
Yeah.
You'd have to say, I'd probably say Bob Dylan and then the Beatles. Do you know what I mean? That would be like.
That'd be right.
Yeah, both in the prime if possible. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's it for me. Because while I'm not the biggest Beatles fan, like in terms of I don't get up in the morning and put Sgt. Pepper's on, and you know what I mean, and do the washing up. Like that's not how I've ever done things. I've listened to the Beatles. They got me in, like most people. The Beatles and Oasis were my gateway into music. Yeah. But I think Lennon and McCartney together Do you know what I mean? It's the most formidable partnership the world's ever seen. That is something that anyone, whether you're a massive Beatles fan or not, you need to see. And just to see the Beatles, just to see those four personalities together, they're from my city. Like, it's just, I think it'd be such an unbelievable learning experience. It'd just be too good to be true, really, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. And just to hear some of those classics, like, like the songs like, you think of In My Life, which is like Lennon's first song that he ever said he wrote about himself, with McCartney's pop sort of know-how of how to bring it all together. To hear those songs like live by, in the flesh, like it's almost a bit an our last thing doing this gig, doing this challenge, because it's just, I'm just daydreaming about things that I can never have now. You know what I mean? But
that seems to be the way of 2020 anyway. Everything's
I suppose so. And but that would be it. You know what I mean? Just to see that and experience that. I think you could say that you've seen everything then, I suppose. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We always ask for a recommendation. So it can be anybody. It can be someone that you want to give a shout out to, want to give a mention to. It could be someone that's just influenced you over the years. But it's just basically a recommendation for someone, an artist that people need to know.
Well, I suppose I'll give a shout out to a couple of young musicians from Liverpool coming up. Just do the city proud and everything else. Yeah. It'll just be a quick spitfire of names. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't really. There's a couple who I want to say who I can't really put them above each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So we've got the Sonda, we've got the Sway, we've got Mason Owens, we've got Rats, we've got Columbia, and then moving up a tier, who people you'll already know, but listen to the Lathams, they're an amazing band. Listen to the Snuts, they're an amazing band, and listen to I've just had them in my head, and it's just the Peach Fuzz. There's some bands that you might, if you listen to anything across there, any listeners might be quite impressed with what they hear.
Fantastic. We'll put the links to their stuff in the description, and also links to your stuff. Where's the best place for people to keep in touch with what you're doing? What's your social media of choice?
Yeah, I'm on all of them: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I think my favourite's probably the biggest one's Instagram. It's got me most following, but Twitter's creeping up now, slowly but surely. So anything that you're on, whatever's best for you, I'm on there. So
fantastic.
Just, have a little look, see what you think, and thank you.
Brilliant. Listen, thanks Jamie for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. What a great couple of years it's been, and it seems maybe 2020, for all that it took away, it's maybe given you more ammunition for 2021.
Yeah, definitely.
Wishing you all the best of luck with that, and try and keep the noise down when you're celebrating the league.
Yeah, Ronan, thanks very much for having me.
Nice one, man. Cheers. Thanks, Jamie. Take care.